We have quorum.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Before we get going, I'd like to make an acknowledgement. We meet today on settled indigenous land, which is the traditional territories of the Chinookan peoples of the Wasco, Wishram, Warm Spring, and Grand Ronde tribes. Let us honor this land as traditional native stewards, past, present, and future, and strive today to embody a commitment to cultural equity and reconciliation, ecological conservation, and sustainability. I hereby call this meeting to order at 4:03 p.m. Tia, will you do roll call, please?
Yes. Greg, Chair.
Here.
Megan Ramey, Vice Chair. Here. Tamara, Secretary. Here. Jim.
Here.
Elazar. Gisela.
Here.
And Matt. He's out.
And Matt has an excused absence there. Okay.
And it looks like we may have 2 members of the public.
And do we have any members of the public here?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Yep. Karen Heineman, just buzzing in for, I'm on the documenters people. So just to listen in.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Karen.
Karen, would you mind spelling out your name in the group chat and I'll just, so I can take notes?
Yeah, sure. It's Heinemann. First name
Okay.
Karen with a K.
And your social security number.
Good try.
All right. And do we have anybody else? Merlin or who's logged? Okay. All right. Before we get going, staff has requested a change to the agenda. They have requested removal of agenda item 7F. Approval of the union contract under resolution and action items, and the addition of 9D, legislation and funding update under executive director report. Is there a motion to accept the additions to the agenda?
Make that motion.
Thank you, Megan. Any further discussion?
Could I get a
Or
copy of the?
maybe we should get a second first.
Yes.
Do we get a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on those agenda changes? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, any opposed? Okay, agenda has been changed. The board was provided the June 18th minutes for the budget hearing and the regular monthly meeting were included in your board packet. Are there any changes to either of those that we would like to make? Not hearing any, I would entertain a motion to approve both sets of minutes. I can say that louder if you guys want. Anybody want to make a motion to approve those? You weren't there, so you can, okay, thank you. We have a second.
I'll second. I
Thank
wasn't
you.
there for the meetings, but I'll second.
That's kind of difficult one there. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Matt's not here
Mm-mm.
and Elazar. Okay. Well, I look through them. As a chair, can
I think
Probably not.
probably not, but I think it is okay for, I don't think
They don't have to be there.
Yeah,
If there's any
that's-
questions, the minutes can be changed from here until eternity. Anyone can go back and
open it
change.
back up? Okay.
And a vote, all it takes is a vote to have happen.
Did you just go through an SDO class or something?
I've gone through a couple of them.
All right, well, I'll accept that second. Any further discussion on the minutes? Not hearing those, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay.
abstain?
No, you can say aye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. We do have public here in the meeting. Now's the opportunity if there's any public comment for discussion. That is not on the agenda today. If there's anyone that'd like to make a public comment. We'd just like you to make that statement now. I think she's just observing, so not hearing any public, we'll move on. Okay, agenda item number 5, oath of office for newly elected and re-elected board members. And I have that, oh, you have it printed out for yourself.
Right here. There you go.
Every person elected or appointed to any office under the Constitution shall, before entering on the duties thereof, take an oath or affirmation to support the Constitution of the United States and this state, and also the oath of, an oath of office. As myself and Megan will be taking the oath again of office. Tamara, please go ahead.
Just asked to repeat after me.
Yes, and where it
Okay.
says the I portion, you all can just do it
Okay.
on your own.
You don't need to stand or anything.
We do not need to. say
Okay.
it.
Salute.
No, I don't think so.
Please repeat after me. The Hood River County Transportation District Oath of Office. I, say your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon, the law thereof, and the policies of Hood River County Transportation District, and that what I will faithfully discharge the duties of director according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
So you have that, Greg, do you have yours
Yeah.
in front of you, and do you have,
Pretty one out.
okay, perfect. So we'll just do it all together.
Okay, right.
I,
Jim Clark,
do
solemnly
swear that I will
support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon, laws thereof, and the policies of Hood River Transportation District.
Transportation.
And
that
I will faithfully discharge the duties of director according to the best of my ability. So
help me God.
Thank you.
we should rehearse. You could have done it in a different tone.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Right.
I thought you guys nailed it. I think you did great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Awesome, thank you.
And Greg will,
Then we just need to
yeah,
sign her.
please.
Which
Thank
one,
you.
both?
We do need both,
Yeah.
because one of them is the conflict of interest. And let me,
Not have a conflict of interest, but not put that up.
I can do that for you.
Oh, it's right here.
I didn't print one out, so I need to sign something.
And then Greg, I'll print the, oh, so that one right there?
Yes, I decided that's.
That is all right. Right
There we
there.
go.
All right. Taking a moment to do some paperwork. Thank you. Thank you.
We're all legal, we can move forward.
Yes, thank you so much. Welcome
Thank you,
for
Tamara, for
another
doing that.
term to Megan and Greg, and thank you, and welcome, Jim.
Thanks.
Yeah, welcome, Jim. Thanks for
Mhm.
taking time and joining the board. Really appreciate it. All right, we're on to agenda item number 6, which is our quarterly financial report. Emily, the floor is yours, now that we can hear you.
And I can hear you guys. Sorry, I evidently had my volume turned down, but only on my Zoom meeting, so I could hear everything else, just not you guys.
All right.
So, thank you, Greg, and welcome back, old board members, and welcome, Jim, new board member. For those who don't know, I'm Emily Bechtold. I work with Marina and Company, and we're a contracted firm that helps do some review and preparation of financial statements along with the staff of the district. So that is my role. You'll see me every quarter as I give a presentation on the financial statement. So I will go ahead and share my screen. It seems to have worked previously if I kind of show what I'm discussing as I'm discussing it. So let's see if it's going to let me. Yeah, here we go. You tell me when you see what I'm saying.
You got it.
You see it?
Okay, so this is exciting because it's not just it is a quarterly one, but it's for the whole year. So I'm going to remind you that this is unaudited information. So it is preliminary. Your auditors may have a slightly different, report at the end of their audit period. So again, this is preliminary. That being said, we did close out the year looking pretty good. So we'll start with the statement of financial position. The district ended the year with about $1.4 million, which is a $227,000 decrease from the prior year. Again, as we've discussed all year, we've been moving some accounts around, different balances in different areas. But I think everything's set from here on. Everything's in a good spot. The LGIP accounts all made an average of 2.6% interest on all their whole balances for the last quarter. So that's pretty decent interest rate. And the liabilities for the district at the end of the quarter, you had a little bit due for your credit card, which was about $1,000 less than last year at this time. And we paid all our payroll balances prior to the end of the year. Typically, we pay them in the following month, but at year end, we try and pay, for example, like the retirement withholdings before the end of the year, just so that we're clean going into the next year. So that's the difference between those two. I also included a visual here that shows the makeup of your balance sheet. So pretty much everything you have is in cash as an asset, and then your equity, or what's called fund balance for a municipality, is made up of about 40% of it. 40% of the 49% of that is unrestricted. About 8.29% is your STIF restricted funds, and then 1.28% is your capital asset restricted funds. And you'll notice that those balances tie to the balances of what's sitting in your STIF accounts for those same amounts, or the LGIP accounts for the STIF and the vehicle fund balance. And those will change a little bit. This is part of where it's preliminary, because until we're done the grant reimbursements for the end of the fourth quarter, those are preliminary numbers. So that is it for the balance sheet. It's pretty simple when you're cash basis. Do you guys have any questions or comments on this so far?
Nope.
I did want to add one little thing. That 227,000 decrease is primarily because we have not yet been reimbursed on the property purchase from the land across the street. So just want to make sure that is aware.
Correct. Yes. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, your net revenue for the year almost perfectly matches the decrease in cash. So you can see your net loss for the year was 221,000. The cash decrease was 227, and you're waiting for a little bit more than that actually in reimbursement. So if you ignore that, you guys actually were in the positive this year. So thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Statement of activities. So I'm usually I go through everything in fairly close detail. I'm gonna kind of do an overview this time. So your fair revenue, you were about $28,000 more than it was last year. Your contract revenue was a little less. Most of your revenue accounts were kind of higher and low. The one big difference was your state funds. So you had 322,000 more in state revenue this year than you did last year. And that was primarily due to the STIF discretionary funds. So you got 343,000 more STIF discretionary funds this year than you did last year. The rest of your revenue accounts are pretty stable between the years. You also got a little more in miscellaneous revenue. But in the end, you got 3.4 million for total income compared to just over 3 million you got last year. So the total revenue difference was $362,000. For your cost of goods sold, I also included a little visual on that too. So your total cost of goods sold for the year was just under $850,000, which is a $258,000 increase over the prior year. And that sounds like a lot. But the biggest difference you can see is the operations expense account, $5,300. Last year was $54,000, and this year was $209,000. So that's $155,000 difference. Most of that, $136,000 of that, was because this year you guys decided to go with a different dispatch software, which the board approved in March, and that cost $136,000, and it's a 3-year contract. So that's not going to be a recurrent, increase in operating expenses. It was a one-time fee for the next 3 years. So that's the biggest difference. There also was an increase in the vehicle expense. Most of that is because you guys were doing more maintenance and had changed your maintenance provider to somebody who's being a little more proactive. So there was some additional expense in updating and doing more maintenance on some of your vehicles. But everything else is pretty stable. Of course, fuel expenses, we never know what those are gonna do. So you were under budget and under the prior year's expense on those. Everything else is pretty stable. So does anyone have any questions on that so far? The income or cost of goods sold?
Nope.
Perfect. Okay, administrative expenses, those, total administrative expense was 241,000, compared to the 175,000 in the prior year. So it's a $65,000 increase. The biggest category you see that increase was, the account number 6,700, which is professional fees. And that had to do with, you guys got a new auditing firm, which cost a little bit more. And you guys had some additional like building maintenance expenses. That's the 28,000 up here for the building expenses, but mostly it's the professional fees. You actually were still way under budget though, because you were anticipating doing a lot more contract related professional fee expenses. And so you ended up still being like $300,000 under your budget for the administrative expense category. So personnel expenses, that's another area that you guys beat the budget. You're a little over prior year, but actually they're, as far as personnel costs year over year ago, this is probably one of the closest I've ever seen. It's very, very close to the prior year. So your total administrative personnel expense was about $40,000 more than the prior year. And your operating expense was $35,000 less than the prior year. So your total personnel expense difference year over year is only about $5,500, which is very, very good actually. And most of that is attributed to a lot of efficiency in how the routes are being planned and some of the drop in seasonal service. So personnel expense was good. Capital outlay, that's another area though where you'll see a big difference. So your capital outlay this year was $944,000 compared to the $73,000 last year. The biggest portion of that, of course, is your 2 new buses that you got. So I did break out just because sometimes you don't see it all broken out in one year. So for the capital outlay, right here on the financial statements, the district 944,000 is broken out by, you guys got some new bus cameras that cost 30, I can't read numbers anymore, $23,000. And then you guys also got a new ski and snowboard rack that cost $8,000. And then your 2 buses were $580,000 collectively. And then you guys bought the property for $322,000. And most of that property, we actually haven't seen reimbursements for it yet. So about $190,000 of that is expected to be received soon. And then another $60,000 is anticipated by the end of the year. So we're still waiting for $250,000 of that property to be reimbursed. And that will correlate, as you can see, actually your net operating income or net operating loss for this year was $221,000. So taking into account the lack of reimbursement for your property expenses, you guys actually did really, really well for the year. And then you did also buy a couple new tablets at the end of the year for $11,000. So that's all of your capital outlay for the year. You were still far under budget, so we'll talk about budget next, but I'll just touch again on your net revenue. So last year, your net revenue was $615,000 in the positive. That I would say is kind of unusual. You guys usually don't have quite that good. Part of that, again, is the cash basis. So sometimes you get reimbursements that aren't matched up with when the expense occurs. So this year we had more expenses, and as you can see, we haven't had the reimbursements for those yet. So you ended up with a loss, which means next year you'll probably get the reverse of that again when those reimbursements come in. So overall, I think the district had a fantastic year. I am really happy with how everything looked. Your budget to actuals, well, I guess we can go down to accounts receivable. So accounts receivable at the end of June was about $40,000. And all of those are current. You don't have any long-term accounts receivable outstanding. And then your accounts payable were about $2,000. That's lower than normal, but again, we try and pay all outstanding bills because your cash basis specifically, we try and pay all outstanding bills by the end of the year. Just to make sure that we don't have a big AP. And it makes your financial statements more comparable too, if they are paid before the end of the year. For the budget, you guys had a good budget year. So I did do a little comparison. So the total, the number under the line, these numbers, that's the actual budget. So that's your legally binding amount that you passed. So each category above that, like materials and services and personnel expense, doesn't matter. It's just the total administrative expense altogether that matters the most. So as you can see, for the administrative side, your materials and services was about $300,000 under what you budgeted. Your personal expense got closer. You were about $11,000 under budget, but that still meant your total budget was $315,000 under budget. So you actually were about 63% of your budget spent. For the operating expense, your materials and services were pretty close, actually, especially considering we have to kind of ballpark, fuel expenses and things we have no control over. So you're about $71,000 for your materials and service operating expense. The personnel expense was a lot under. You were $300,000 under your budgeted personnel expense. And then capital outlay was even more. So you were 2.4 million under the capital outlay. And that again has to do with some bigger projects, which we haven't been able to move forward yet on, which means that your total operating expense was about 52,000 or 52% of the actual budgeted amount. So I did a little visual on that too. So you can see here's the actual expense and here's your adopted budget for operating, actual expenses and adopted budget for administrative. The only other update I have for you guys is that we are starting the audit. The auditor's scheduled to be out on site the beginning of August. And we've been working really hard to make sure everything will be ready for when they come. And I'm just endlessly pleased from an accounting standpoint and what I do with my job. I have loved working with the district, and I just am really impressed and value the relationship that we have and their desire to be on top of things and good stewards of the funds and responsibility they've been entrusted with. So from a personal standpoint, I can't be happier.
We love what you do for us as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't know how to stop
We're
sharing.
even getting a clap from Jovi there. That's good.
And a heart from Gisela.
Yeah.
I don't know how to stop sharing though. Oh, here we go. Is that how I do it? Okay.
All right.
Does anyone have any questions on what I went over? I know I went a little quickly, maybe. I have a hard time reading like line after line after line of numbers just because they're in front of you. So I tried to touch on the highlights, but.
Well, that's perfect. We get all the numbers ahead of time, so we review them, so we're prepared. So thank you.
Yeah. Does anyone have questions on those?
No surprises.
No. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for all the work. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Emily.
Yep.
And
No problem.
you're welcome to leave if you
Okay.
need, or you're welcome to stay.
Sounds good. Thank you
We're not
guys.
we're not judging you.
Okay.
Okay, we are on to agenda item number 7, which is resolution and action items. It's the election of our chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So the intent of this action item is I will be asking you at the end to nominate and then vote on election of chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer, which, as you guys know, makes up our executive committee, and who I typically will reach out to if there's an item that I need just some feedback on or to kind of brainstorm on. That isn't necessarily something to bring to the whole group, but is something that I need a little bit more dedicated advice. And so for some background, it's as required by our bylaws, the board of directors is to elect a new chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer at the first meeting in July. And here we are at the first meeting. The voting process for a chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer must be done in a public setting. These are the board officers that consist of the executive committee. Did want to go over the roles and responsibilities of each. so that everybody understands expectations. So for the chair shall preside at all meetings of the board and shall work closely with the executive director to ensure the efficient execution of business of the district. The chair shall have the authority to execute contracts and agreements approved by the board. And the chair shall also have the authority to make appointments to committees after giving due consideration to the expressions of interest from members of the board. And then also for time commitments, the board chair typically meets with me at least once a month for about 30 minutes in order to review the agenda for the upcoming board meeting. Vice chair, the vice chair shall assume the authority and perform the duties of the chair in the absence or incapacity of the chair. So backup, we appreciate that. And then secretary treasurer, the secretary treasurer shall supervise the preparation and maintenance of complete and accurate minutes of the proceedings of the board and the papers and records of the board, and shall be the official custodian of the same. When performing the treasurer functions, they shall supervise the proper disposition of the funds and securities of the board and the preparation of such records and reports as the board may deem appropriate. In discharging these duties, the secretary treasurer may rely on the executive director, appropriate staff, and professionals retained by the board. With that, is there any questions of the process? Or that, so typically what we do is we ask for nominations. So Jim, just to clarify, so Greg is our current board chair, Megan is our current vice chair, and Tamara is our current secretary treasurer. So we'll ask for nominations, and then from there, we'll do ask for motions to approve the different roles.
Can we make Jim all three? Since he's-
I was just about to say. I mean, say it.
I haven't heard anything from any other board members about changes or whatever. I'm happy to stay as board chair. If somebody feels that they would really like that opportunity to do it, I totally open to that, so. But I'm happy to stay in the role if you guys want, but also if somebody
Yeah.
wants to, they're very passionate about it, I am totally with it.
I'm happy to have you as the chair.
Yeah.
I mean, and the same thing, I just, the secretary treasurer, I'm happy to stay there.
Yeah, same, likewise.
And
Gisela, if you wanted to jump in, like, just let us know.
I was just gonna nominate the three of you and
Okay.
ask if you wanted to go in another round. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right, so I hear nominations for Greg Pack for chair, Megan Reamy for vice chair, and Tamara for secretary treasurer.
so you need a second?
I'll second it.
Yes, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, and then I just went into a realm that I don't have the cheat sheet in front of me.
Well, you typically then just be any other discussion
Any other discussion?
and then call for a vote.
All right, I'll call for a vote. Just to reiterate, Greg Pack for chair, Megan for vice chair, Tamara for secretary treasurer.
All right.
Aye.
Okay.
I,
Aye.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I'm not as practiced as
That's
Greg
right.
over
And any
here.
opposed?
Any opposed? All right, thank you for the
All
assist.
right. We're back on. We can
Can't
resume.
believe it's been a year already.
Yeah.
This
Thank
year
you,
went
Amy.
by very fast.
So we don't need to do B then, 7B, since we're all in the same roles
Correct.
for check centers, so we'll bypass that.
Yep.
We're on to 7C, approval for vehicle request for quote RFQ revision.
Thank you. So Jeff is out today, so I'm gonna put on my Jeff hat again. So my goal here for this agenda item is I am looking for approval for us to add a second vehicle or to put it out an RFQ, which is a request for quote for a second vehicle. Typically, we do not ask this necessarily of the boards if we need to revise an RFQ, because at this point you have typically already approved us to move forward with the purchase of a vehicle. The difference here is that this specific request for quote, which we recently submitted a request for quote for one vehicle. And the process is we submit that request to ODOT, it gets approved, and then we can send it out to different vendors to supply us with quotes for a vehicle. Typically, we send this out and then we approve the lowest cost quote, and then we move forward. The difference with this is that this is one of the grants where we have been approved by ODOT to get reimbursement immediately for one vehicle, but we do not yet have the approval to get the reimbursement for the second vehicle yet. And that is will come summer 2026. The reason why we are asking for your approval to move forward with the second vehicle is because we have seen just within a year, the cost for one of these big vehicles increased by about $100,000. In addition to that, the likelihood is that we will get a vehicle in about 12 months' time. So even if we put in that request for a quote and then we say, yes, vendor, you are approved to move forward with this purchase, we will likely not see that vehicle for another year. And we are not required to pay for a vehicle until we have actually received that vehicle. So this is a bit of a risk, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you. We do have the ability, my understanding, and Hovey, I wasn't able to get confirmation from before this meeting, but Hovey, my understanding is that if something happens, we can actually cancel a vehicle before we've received it. If things change, you know, in 8 months-ish.
Yeah, that's happened before with others, and we've had other agencies pick up the vehicle if they have funding available and that sort of thing. So I've seen it happen in other instances, so I don't think you'd be on the hook for it unless you accepted the vehicle. Once you accept the vehicle, you have to pay for it within 30 days, something like
We'd
that.
just be hoping to get the funding by them for the second vehicle. If we don't, we can back out. Somebody else will probably pick it up. We're just trying to get ahead of the time frame and speed that up.
And save about $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this normal, Hovey, kind of a normal thing for?
Well, I mean, it happens, and it could be that funding will be available. You could pay for it and then get reimbursed for it at a later time too. So if you wanted to use reserves at that time, you'd be able to choose that as an avenue. You just want to make sure that you make sure that the capital procurement person, staff member approves 2 vehicles to make sure that you're not stuck at the end saying, oh, you only asked for 1 and now you have 2. So we just want to make sure it's clear with them what you're asking for. And we go from there. But should be good.
Appreciate it. I think it's good forward thinking on behalf of staff.
Well, just quickly, what vehicle are you looking, what type of vehicle?
Yeah, good question. So it's a category B. So it's very similar to the Freightliners that we just purchased. So it'd be about 40-foot vehicle, 35 plus passenger vehicle. And the intent was to use it on our seasonal services, or, you know, one of our either Columbia York Express or Gorge to Mountain Express or Dog Mountain, any of those services.
Okay. Not electric, I take it.
Not electric.
Okay.
They're just not available.
Not available. Yeah.
Okay.
And with this service specifically too, I would be hesitant to do that just because it would, in theory, we'd be using it up the mountain, and
Okay.
in those conditions, the electric vehicles are not quite as dependable yet.
Well, I can make the motion to approve the request for an additional vehicle to lock in current pricing, save funds, and help CAT maintain service amid an uncertain future.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion on the vehicle? Not hearing any. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed or contrary minded? Okay, chair votes aye. That's approved.
Thank you.
On to 7D, approval of a used vehicle purchasing.
Yes, so staff is looking for the approval of two larger 40-foot Gilligs or similar to some of our 216, 217, and 218, and also potentially a sedan or minivan to meet fleet needs. So and these will be used. So for background for everyone, we typically in the past have purchased used vehicles from other transit agencies. So after they've already met their useful life, you can typically get them for $3,000 to $5,000. And then some repairs are needed, but they work for short term for Georgetown Mountain Express or Dog Mountain. So this would help us kind of meet that gap until we get those larger, newer vehicles. So that we have some extra fleet, because we have noticed that with these type of vehicles, you do get more repairs needed, and you do need some more contingency vehicles than you would with a newer vehicle. But it would allow us, I mean, the vehicles that we've had for, I think, 3 years, and those typically are only really meant to last 1 to 2 years. So we are looking for approval of those used buses, and the funding request is up to $15,000, which we have funding in our vehicle LGIP fund. So, and that's the purpose of that LGIP fund. It is specifically for used vehicles or the match of new vehicles. So that funding is available, and it would not be through a grant or anything specific, just through, it's considered to be through local funds. We did have a couple of 40-foot Gilligs that we were looking at through Wacom. As of now, those are not necessarily available to us, but they might become available to us in the next couple of months. So we're just looking at a preemptive approval. So if we have the ability to procure those, we can. And then also for the fleet vehicle that we're looking for. So right now we have a 2013 Tahoe. There currently is no back seats in there. It's just 2 front seats. So if we're going to meetings in town, or if we're going to conferences or anything else, we have to use personal vehicles to do that. So looking for just a smaller vehicle that can transport more than just 2 people. And again, just looking to purchase a used one for less resources. Any questions?
40-foot Helix are the ones with the, I think it's like a city transit bus, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're the ones that are out here, the big
Yeah.
purple ones, the one that we use on our Georgetown Mountain Express service.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Any questions?
Okay. Entertain a motion if the board agrees.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of the 2 40-foot transit vehicles and 1 sedan or minivan using LGIP funds to replace aging units, reduce mechanical costs, and improve fleet reliability.
And I would say we can put up to 15,000 on there.
Okay.
That's-
The motion to include up to 15,000 from the
I second.
LGIP account.
Okay, thank you, Megan.
And I second.
Thank you, Jill, appreciate it. Any further discussion on the vehicle purchase? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, chair votes aye. Great work. We're on to approval of landscaping contract.
All right, thank you. In your packets, there's a memo, kind of laying out the steps taken for seeking out landscaping services. We released an RFP for, landscaping services for the main area, as well as the park and ride and maintaining the new lot across the street. We received 3 proposals, and after evaluating those, We have selected Gorgeous Lawn Care. We selected their proposal because they have the qualifications that we were looking for, have relevant experience, and they were the most cost effective among the 3 respondents. Per Hood River County Transportation District's financial management policy, staff needs approval of the below contract with Gorgeous Lawn Care. We followed the proper procurement procedures per the district's procurement policy when selecting Gorgeous Lawn Care. I do want to note that there is an error on C, the contract period. It'll actually be for 3 years, so it would end 6/30 of 2028. And the not to exceed amount would be $30,000 for that additional year.
So it's 10,000 a year.
Yes, and that, there's a little buffer in there just in case, so I don't expect us to exceed that or even hit the 30,000, but just in case.
And that is a allowable cost, that is a administrative cost that can be dispersed amongst all our grants.
Who have we used in the past?
The ones, yeah,
And, did they bid again?
we did not.
Oh, okay, okay.
Pretty straightforward. Okay, anything else?
So, what I need is for you guys to discuss and vote to approve or not approve the contract with Gorgeous Lawn Care.
Thank you.
I move to approve the contract with Gorgeous Lawn Care.
One second.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Megan. Any further discussion on the landscaping agreement? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye. All right. We're there. 7F has been removed. So we're on to the operations manager report, number 8.
Yes, thank you very much. Just realize, there we go. Okay, so overall safety score, we're staying steady at the 98. 0 crashes and 1 harsh event. Our speed has gone up a tad. We have addressed all of those with the appropriate parties. For the operations data, we still do not have fixed on-time performance. That will come when we have implemented Swiftly, which is our new fixed route dispatch software. For the dial right OTP, we now have access to that information now that we have our new on our demand response software spare. Which we'll talk a little bit more about. But we are currently at 94.84%. Our goal is to get that up closer to 97%. Again, we haven't had this number for a while, so this is something that we're just kind of getting used to and kind of figuring out the kinks a little bit still. Vehicle hours driven is down a tad, and vehicle miles driven is also down a tad. Again, we've no longer have, or Dog Mountain did end partway through the month. So the fuel cost did go up, and that's primarily because it's some of the fuel costs from May. So there were no formal customer.
Was there an accrual made in the mileage then too, or did those match?
No, they come from different sources, unfortunately.
Okay.
So the vehicle miles driven comes purely from our just our route data.
Okay.
And the fuel cost comes from the invoices
Okay.
from Carson.
Okay.
Okay, so if no formal complaints, 2 vehicle incidents and 5 customer incidents. The vehicle incidents, a bus did turn too tightly into the Gateway Transit Center and made contact with the keypad. Both the keypad and vehicle sustained cosmetic damage. TriMet has been notified. No additional action has been required as of now. And the second issue was due to a low position, the bike rack on the rear of the bus bottomed out and rebounded against the rear windows. So the bike rack has been removed and the windows have been replaced for now, so it just shattered. The,
Gorge Express?
no, it was it was our electric fan.
Oh,
The
okay.
124.
I was like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, nope, from 124.
That's too bad.
Yeah, so customer instance, a rider boarded the bus and refused to pay the fare, claiming that other passengers were riding for free. When the driver denied him boarding, the rider became aggressive, stood in the doorway and refused to move. Supervisors were notified, but before further action was necessary, another passenger paid the rider's fare. A rider inquired about another passenger's location in a threatening manner. No information was disclosed. However, we're just mainly keeping an eye on that because we've had a couple of those incidents recently. A man was sitting on the sidewalk near the front entrance, yelling at people and smoking. He was asked to stop smoking. The police were called and he was subsequently escorted off the property. A rider contacted the office concerned they had missed the last bus at Multnomah Falls. It was determined they had misread the gateway departure times as those were from Multnomah Falls. The passenger was very upset and stated they intended to file a complaint. An individual was observed camping in the park and ride. After being informed that camping is not permitted, left the premises but returned the following morning and behaved aggressively towards a staff member before leaving. Other than that, we do have currently one rider who is trespassed, and we're currently reviewing the status of that trespass. Employee of the month is Miss Scarlett Jones. She has shown exemplary service and has great attention to detail in all aspects of her job. I really appreciate how attentive she is to policies and ensuring that riders are following policies in a kind and consistent manner. For ridership, we do have a decrease over last month and then the same month previous year. The main difference between this month and last month was due to Dog Mountain, the Columbia Gorge Express, Hood River City, and Dial-A-Ride have all increased a tad. Upper Valley has decreased a bit. I will get back to you guys a little bit more as to why there is a difference between this month, this year, and last year. That doesn't make as much sense for me.
Yeah.
Can you go through that for me, please? Thank you. Okay. And then for the other thing we wanted to review is just some of the highlights of our new dispatch program, which is called Spare. And while Tim is bringing that up and sharing that with the group, we really appreciate the investment that was made in this new dispatch software. And so we just wanted to give the board some just updates of what this means for us and how this has helped the efficiency in the office and reduced staff time on booking trips. And I could say pretty confidently that this has reduced. I mean, typically booking a ride with our old software would take up to 15 minutes, and this has reduced it to about 5 minutes, if not shorter. So it's a pretty big, significant difference in time. Go ahead. So the other thing that's really wonderful about Spare is they have a support team that is super responsive and solution oriented. They are constantly looking at our data, and if there's something that they think looks odd or not great for whatever reason, then they'll contact us and make sure that they can address it. It's also a very customizable platform. So what we have done is that as we've received feedback from our drivers, we're able to take it to Spare and say like, hey, how can we make this reduce these issues and do this and this? And they're able to do that for us. And just the fact that they're so on top of things, it enables us to focus on operations instead of software workarounds, which Becca over in the dispatch area has become a champ on, but I am so glad that she does not have to create a workaround for just about everything. All right, next please. So it also gives us a lot of ridership data and reporting capacity. We have seen a slight increase in our ridership. I can't unfortunately contribute all of that to this new program. But from what I have seen, there are more rides, there's more grouping of rides. So we are not, a lot of times with our old software, we kind of became a taxi service to a degree, and we are now grouping those rides more often. So it's making it a more efficient service and making it a shared service. And it also very clearly shows us our total requested bookings, cancellations. It lets us address no-shows quicker and and of course the on-time performance is a big key one. Next slide, please. And like I mentioned, the booking efficiency is kind of insane, reducing the time that it takes us to book a trip, but also just the ease of booking a trip. We are able to, like, just the user interface, so we're able to look up the user, book a ride, it'll save their past locations. If I need to edit a ride, maybe the time or where they're going, I can easily do that. I don't have to create a whole new ride for them, which I had to in the past. And again, that just all that time adds up.
We're not really seeing the different slides being
Oh, you're
changed
not?
over. Yeah, I just see the title slide.
Oh, I'm sorry. And maybe X out of it, and what you can do is you just, instead of the sharing the, oh. Go ahead and end slideshow right now. And then you can just share this guy. It's not as,
That help?
but it'll work. You got it?
Okay,
Did
yes.
Giselle, are you able to see that?
Yes, we're seeing the ride booking efficiency slide. So
Yes, wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, the next one, the driver app features. The driver app is also cleaner and simple. It is, there's no pressure from early or late alerts, internal tracking only, and it enables dispatch to manage disruptions or delays without stressing the driver, which is wonderful. Next, please. And then the next portion of launching this software is there is going to be a rider application. So it will be a white label, so it'll have our logo on it. And we will be doing a press release, kind of alerting the community that this is coming. But for those individuals who feel comfortable with using their phone to book a ride, they will now be able to do it through their phone. They can still call us, they can still do it through a dispatcher or field supervisor, but it is another option. And we've gotten a lot of glowing feedback. I mean, there was, of course, a little bit of transition period with the drivers. It was a change. And the way that the driver app works, it only shows up to 3 riders of the upcoming riders, and in our past software, it would show everything. So there's just we had to change processes a little bit. But other than that, you know, I'm getting good reviews, and it is easier to use. And of course, from the office standpoint, it's reducing time by a significant amount.
Awesome.
Remind me what the difference is, or what, eligibility and or, how far in advance you have to book a ride?
Yeah, so for paratransit, so paratransit is available whenever our Hood River City route is operating. So that means if you are a ADA complimentary paratransit rider, so you've gone through the process with us, you've filled out this specific paperwork, you've gone to your doctor that shows that you can just not use, you can't use fixed route, then you do have the ability to request a ride anytime the Hood River City route is operating. The dial-a-ride is for the general public. It's first come, first served basis. And we do generally suggest that people do at least a day in advance, but we do accept same day reservations if availability exists.
And what's the geographic scope?
It's all of Hood River County.
So it doesn't matter if a fixed route's already running there, if they use the dial ride, they can hop on the dial ride.
They can,
And once we have the app for them, the white label app, that'll be way easier for them to do.
well, in it, there is capability so that if it's a trip that they can do and they're not an ADA rider, if it's a trip that they can do using fixed route, it won't allow them to book it.
Okay. But I mean, that's great that we have it, right? That's
Yeah.
why we have it. I just.
Yeah.
That's, and I was just wondering if, for instance, someone, at 3 a.m. wanted to book a ride for the next day. What will happen? Is that just blocked or does it come into the queue?
It is blocked.
Okay,
And then we would have to, yeah. They. and that's, actually, I'm not sure I fully know that answer on the top of my head. But it would not automatically be a thing unless there was availability.
Okay. And that, my other question was, is there ever the need for manual approval of these bookings, or is everything done?
The only ones that need manual bookings are if they're ADA complimentary paratransit and if they're outside that, the dial-a-ride window. So if they're after 5 and before 8 and our Hood River City route is running, then there would need to be an approval because that would only be for ADA complimentary paratransit riders. We also typically, anytime it's an ADA paratransit rider, we will double check it all because they get different allowances. So if they call in, we will pull a field supervisor from a task in order to make sure we can do that ride, even if there might not be availability.
Thanks for sharing this with us. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
To see progress and what the board's approved spending on. Love it.
Yeah. Okay,
Done with that.
yes, I am. Thank you.
The expense of GE as well. I thought about that. We were 9 last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, thank you, Tia. So Tia reminded me for the ridership. Last year we had 9 trips a day on McCormick Express.
Right.
And we are on 7 trips a day.
Yeah.
This
I-
year, and that's because of
Yeah.
funding uncertainty.
Yes, I miss that more frequent schedule, but yeah, I understand why we're doing it.
All right,
Okay, on to agenda item number 9, executive director report.
wonderful. Thank you very much.
Tim, go ahead. Sorry, joke from before the meeting.
So the first agenda item there for under my executive report is just local route changes. My intent here is just to update the board on the status of the changes to the city of Hood River and Upper Valley. Also, just want to make sure that I am doing my due diligence to make sure I'm bringing up this change every opportunity I have. So again, it's the Hood River City route is going to be streamlined. And the Upper Valley route is going to become a transition from an Upper Valley deviated fixed route into a fixed route service. All my ask is that you guys share this information whenever appropriate, but there's no further action required beyond that. So since our last update, staff has continued to work on finalizing a feedback portal that we will post on a QR code for on buses, add to our website, and assist people with in completing if they would like us to. I'm just finishing up a couple of things on that, and it should be available at the beginning of next week. The feedback so far is mostly positive, with a few concerns regarding being dropped, that people will no longer be able to be dropped off at Safeway or at Walmart. They will have to walk to those destinations, because currently we go into the parking lot, and we will no longer be doing that for liability reasons. The route changes likely will be made in September, but I am leaning towards it'll probably happen in October. just with the changes that we are asking the city of Hood River to do with the Hood River City route with painting. I am concerned that it's just gonna take them a little bit more time to get it done.
Adam and I checked out the in-lane. The way the bike lanes and transit in-lane stops work in Salt Lake City, and he was like, it was nice for him to see that, cause he was like, oh, that functions much better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Wonderful, that's great.
yeah, so it'd be awesome if we could find one of those Zikla temporary bus loading things.
Yep, and
Yeah.
that's something that we are working on.
Oh, yes, awesome.
Great. Any questions on that? Okay, yeah, no, our major intent here is we just want to make sure this transition is done in a thoughtful way. And that the folks who need more of a, more hands-on approach to this change that we are helping them through this process. My second item is the weekend white salmon service update. Again, this is just an update, and I want to make sure the board is aware of the status of the weekend white salmon service for this summer. There's no action required of the board at this time. As I shared at our last meeting, CAT had a grant for the 23-25 biennium to provide summer weekend service between the cities of Hood River, White Salmon, and Bingen. Last fall, staff submitted an application for year-round weekend service along with expanded Dog Mountain service, and we learned that both of those applications were not approved. However, we were able to secure funding with WashDOT for the rest of the summer through September 7th in order to ensure that our community had access to the service, at least for the summer.
Is this published already?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
Monday through Friday?
Saturday, Sunday.
Oh,
This is for the weekend service.
okay,
The summer weekend service that we have each summer.
okay,
We were able to continue funding through September 7th.
got it,
Not the Mount Adams one.
yeah,
We were able to continue through September 7th because we didn't have adequate timing to alert the community that it wasn't gonna exist this summer. However, we will not be able to get access to that funding for next summer. So we're going back to no car-free access across that bridge on weekends. Which, as we know, is an equity issue. Any questions on that? Okay. My next item is the conflict of interest statements. Again, I did include in my memo that the board received in their materials that all board members do need to complete a conflict of interest form each July. The action required from each of you is that you do it as soon as you can, which you all have, so thank you so much. And Gisela will send that, Tim will send the form to you via email so that we can get your signature. The conflicts of interest form is required per ORS 244 of all board members on an annual basis for a period from July 1st to June 30th. And the purpose of this process is to ensure transparency.
It
of
should already
elected
be in the
leaders.
board packet though, right? That was sent out.
yeah.
Yes, it was. Yeah, okay, any questions on that? All right, and then the last item, which is a beast, is the legislation and funding update. And my intent here is just to update the board on the implications of the recent legislation events or legislative events
Or non-events.
or non-events. And there's no action required of the board at this time. I just want to make sure you are all aware. So per our discussion of the last several board meetings, staff has kept a close eye on House Bill 2025 in the state legislature, which would have included a phased 0.2% over 5 years in the employee payroll tax rate that supports transit through the statewide transportation improvement fund. That bill was also to help kind of right size ODOT and ensure that they had the funding needed to maintain roads. As you may or may not know, that was not passed. And there was no other bills passed to help meet those needs. So the financially, this is not going to impact the district like it will other transit agencies, several transit agencies. Rogue Valley has already announced that they are they're going from 16 routes down to 6, I believe, and they're laying off about 70 people. That it's not impacting us like that. We will see financial impacts. My estimate is 2 to 3 years. And the reason for that is our costs continue to rise without increase in formula grant revenue. So things such as our healthcare, our vehicle insurance, those increase on average about 15% each year. And there's nothing I can do about that. We are legally required to have that healthcare, and we are legally required to have that vehicle insurance. And I can't shop around with different providers. We have to go through SVAO. The cost to purchase a vehicle has doubled in the past 3 years. We in 2023, or no, sorry, it was 2019, we purchased 2 cutaways and they were about 76,000 each. And the ones we purchased in 2023 were 156 per vehicle. So these are very real costs. And even if we get grants for these things, we still have to make up the match. So what we are doing in order to mitigate this impact that we're going to be seeing in about 2 to 3 years is working with staff to streamline and reduce costs as much as possible to mitigate that eventual impact. It is expected, or we are expecting that the legislators are going to come back for a special session to do kind of a Band-Aid version of the bill. I do not know if that is actually going to happen, but I've heard rumors that it will help ODOT fund the roads, but also it'll be, I think, a 0.1% increase. So it'll bring us from 0.1% to 0.2%. Of the state employee payroll tax, which will help us and will help the other agencies in the future. So yeah.
I heard it's the last week of September.
Yeah. So ODOT has started to and will be laying off a significant number of employees. The first count was 500, and I think they're expecting another 400-ish on top of that. This will impact us in the sense that there will be some PTD, so Public Transit Division employees that will be laid off. And that will mean that our processing times of our grants and our reimbursements will be lengthened. The other thing is that bus stop approvals, those also will be delayed, and it likely an increase of road closures and additional debris on both I-84 and Highway 35.
Bus stop approvals on ODOT roads, or, okay, got it.
On ODOT roads,
Yeah.
The other thing that should be noted is that with the termination of employees, the money we receive through our statewide transportation improvement fund, so our STIF funding, it's an employee state payroll tax. So with less employees, we will likely see an impact on our STIF monies as well. So as of now, we are whole, and there's no immediate impacts, but this is something that I just want you to be aware of. And I will get more concerned if we see more delays in grant reimbursements. The other thing, so that's on the state level. On the federal level, FTA has let go approximately 50% of their employees, which has increased the amount of time it takes to process federal grants. And again, so if right now we are expecting our reimbursements to become regular again in December or earlier, depending on which type of grant. Again, I'm just keeping an eye on that and monitoring that closely. Hovey, I know this is kind of a sensitive subject, but just wanted to see if you wanted to add anything. And again, we thank ODOT for all they do for us.
Well, I mean, I think you summarized the situation pretty well. It's just gonna take ODOT some time to kind of settle through this. The layoffs are kind of a rolling layoff. So if somebody gets laid off and they want to bump someone else, then those persons get laid off and then that person might bump someone else. It's kind of awful. So that piece, you know, we might not know who's doing what for a little while, but I'm here until, you know, until I'm not, but I think I'm here. We don't know any of those kind of plans. So as far as funding goes, you're right about state funding is coming through our, you know, the first quarter STIF funds were processed this week, so they'll be coming to each group agency coming forward, and then, you know, we're definitely working. We haven't stopped working. So, you know, there's the piece that we've got, but yeah, Amy, you kind of summarized everything, and we've been trying to push out the information as best we can. So if there's any questions from the board, I'm happy to see what I can answer.
And I will say we are, all of our contracts are executed except for the STIF, so the grant that funds the Columbia Gorge Express.
Yeah.
However, because that funding is ongoing service, it is, we can still.
Yeah, you'll still be able to incur costs starting July 1
Yeah.
for that, even though we haven't executed the grant. So I have that commitment from all funding leadership, so we should be good to go.
Well, we're glad you're still here and sorry you guys are going through that.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here too. And yeah, we'll just day by day, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. And that is all the end of my updates. If you have any questions?
Couple of them.
Yeah.
To help me get a clear picture of possibilities for this winter, of course, with snow removal. All of the city is within the city's jurisdiction. There's nothing that ODOT is responsible within the city.
I don't think that's fully, I think, I believe 12th Street and 13th Street are still
It
ODOT,
is ODOT.
as
Yeah, if
is
they're state highways,
Cascade.
Then
Yeah,
the jurisdiction would be, the state
Okay.
highway would be ODOT.
I think the only thing that would potentially change that is the jurisdictional transfer. And the
Right.
last I heard on that was that was kind of at a stalemate at the moment.
Yeah, no, there's like just literally no,
No,
there's no funding happening this year,
okay.
besides maybe the special session, so.
And,
Oh, go ahead.
and then, also, going up to the ski mountain, keeping that road open, I mean,
Yeah, we're
That's
working with
tenuous at
local
best.
ODOT team to see how they've been impacted and stuff like that. And early on, we haven't had major things, but we'll know more as they progress through.
okay.
And I think that the one thing that may happen is if there's, there might be more road closures.
Right, right.
And so we'll have to, or depending on the roads, if we might have to delay service or, if it's really bad conditions, we'll have to kind of take it by there. But, yeah, but Highway 35 is a big one. So I would assume that the most of the resources will go there.
Okay.
And for I-84, I'm assuming there's gonna be probably some more shutdowns. But you know what, I really appreciate how ODOT has been very stern about if it gets to be a certain amount of snow, they just shut I-84 down. And then we have seen a lot less issues because of that. So I think that is, while not always a popular opinion, I do really appreciate that because it reduces a lot of potential safety concerns that I have. I will say I do have some safety concerns with just with more debris on the road and the fact that our buses are on the road quite a lot consistently. I know if it's minor debris, it's not necessarily going to be picked up as often, and that's probably where I get a little more nervous. Just because we're on the road so much, but
minor debris can be like catastrophic though, like,
Yeah.
I had it was like a bolt. I don't know, it must have been like a piece of metal, it came up and over the center line and hit our, it's the, not T-bar, but, we're not roll bar, it's the,
Frame thing?
A-frame, yeah. Between like, so there's the front windshield and then there's the driver's side, it's the piece of metal right here. It hit exactly that piece of metal. If it would have gone through the windshield. Dunzo. Like,
Yeah, it's
it's just,
scary.
yeah, like, and it
Yeah.
came from up and over the other side and it was just like a piece of metal.
Have you been talking with any representatives, anybody in Salem that, you have any?
Not, so when all the different hospital 2025 stuff was happening, I was sending emails out to our representatives. Next week, I'm gonna try to reach out again, to see if I can get a meeting or just, to ask how I can help, like what is the information that is needed, so that I can at least help that discussion happen. I mean, if we're, so the other thing to know is the Republican bill that was put out there was that it would completely remove all STIF funding from transit. That is one thing that I do want to make sure that everyone understands the implications that would completely decimate public transit in the state of Oregon. For us, what that would mean is it would mean that we would probably go back to a dial-a-ride service only. And so we would no longer have our fixed route services.
Who was that was like a weird bill. That was,
It
a
was.
speed bump bill that was repurposed.
Yeah, and I think the likelihood of that happening is really low, but it does get brought up every once in a while, so I do want to make sure that it's very clear what those implications are. And so that is, we had an OTA board meeting yesterday, which we were just talking about. We're compiling information as to what it would mean for transit agencies, so that's information I will be submitting to OTA tomorrow. Oregon Transit Association. I will be submitting to them tomorrow what it'll mean for us without this a Band-Aid bill. Like if what it'll mean, as we discussed, it'll simply mean that we're gonna have potential service implications in about 2 to 3 years. If that STIF was fully removed, if transit was not receiving funding from STIF, then I would also give them the implications of what that would mean for staff and services as well. So.
Yeah, you saw the email I wrote, Brett Pelfridge, and then it's actually mostly directed to Boss Hart Davis, I think was her name.
Yeah.
The one, she was not treated very well. By Rep Gorsick, who has since resigned. It was just like, just so much drama. That session, it's unbelievable, but I met with, Oregon Transportation Commissioner, Jeff Baker, the morning of that crazy weekend, and he gave me all of the background. What happened when, and it's just really, I don't know, we had a whole year.
There's a couple of really great articles. Actually, Bike Portland
Yeah.
has done a really great job of giving a very fact-based description of what happened. I'm happy to send it out. And there was one where he sat down with Representative Gamba.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. And they kind of just discussed some of the shortfalls, and it also discussed the points of both parties, and the perspectives.
Sent that out, yeah.
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 I will do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for that update. All right, we're on to 10 discussion items. Board have any other discussion items? Okay,
I think we have enough.
upcoming events.
The August 6th SDO board training Jim is gonna be going to that, which will be wonderful, and then I'll also work with Elazar is the other board member that.
Are you doing it remotely or are you going in person?
No, they got one. I listened to the one online, but they got one August 6th, that's in person.
Yeah, in Hood River,
Oh,
so you'll,
Oh,
they're
nice.
really great in person.
And that's the one you had last, or we had last year.
Yes,
I
where
would say-
it was in the Dalles.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys want a refresher, let me know and I'm happy to register you guys as
September
well.
what?
It was August
Oh,
6th.
so, okay, got it.
Did you register me already?
Not yet, we'll do
Okay.
that tomorrow.
Okay, any other events? Perfect, I'd,
Make
on
a
to number 12.
motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Megan. Do we have a second?
Second,
Amber, appreciate it. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
I.
Any opposed? Your vote's aye. We are officially adjourned. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's work here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Team.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
So,
Thanks for your work.
Toby. See you.
thank you.